You're watching the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, and today's show is made possible by our friends over at Aura. They offer all-in-one digital safety. That's financial protection, identity theft protection, all of it covered in their fancy all-in-one online safety tool. And they're giving you a free 14-day trial when you head over to aura.com/chatsports. That link will be in the comments section, and it will be in the description of today's show. Some news to break down before we get too far into the Sean Payton rumors, because those are back again. Jaquan Hardy's time in Dallas is over. With the signing of Malik Jefferson, which we broke down this morning for you guys right here on the Cowboys Report, the Cowboys had to make a roster spot open, and they did so by releasing Jaquan Hardy, who played briefly last year out of Tiffin, a UDFA. So this is where the Cowboys running back depth chart sits currently. Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, Rico Dowdle. Ryan Nall is a hybrid fullback, hybrid type of player. Nick Ralston is a fullback, and 2 UDFAs this year. Aaron Shamklin out of Harvard, who's a bit more of a bursty Tony Pollard type of player from like explosiveness, speed perspective. And Malik Davis, who the Cowboys like quite a bit. They are very high on him, even though I didn't love him at Florida, but he can pass protect. He fits more of the Zeke style of runner. That will be your RB3 battle. Dowdle, Shamklin, Davis, and maybe a fullback hybrid mixed in there with Ralston and Nall. In other Cowboys news, Adam Schefter says the Cowboys and tight end Dalton Schultz are not expected to reach an agreement on a contract extension before tomorrow's franchise tag deadline. Because of course they are not. And we all know that because you've been subscribed and you've been watching the Cowboys reports, and we've broken it down in depth repeatedly. It's not going to get done. The two sides have not even spoken to each other in weeks. And frankly, I wonder if the Cowboys ever planned on getting a deal done, which you know if you're subscribed. So if you're not already, get that changed. Hit the big red button right now. Let's talk Sean Payton and the Dallas Cowboys now, because this rumor, simply put, will never, ever die until Sean Payton becomes the Cowboys head coach, potentially. Those rumors are back again thanks to a new report from the Miami Herald. They listed 3 teams that Payton allegedly has interest in coaching, with all of the buzz once again back around Payton and the Cowboys, because that just never really seems to change from that standpoint. The 3 teams that Sean Payton allegedly has interest in are as follows. The Miami Dolphins, which was the big rumor this offseason. They're going to try to pair Payton and Brady together. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys. And interestingly enough, the Los Angeles Chargers as well. The alleged, and I'll emphasize the alleged part, 3 main factors Sean Payton is looking for: warm weather, a quality roster, a contending roster, and personnel control. Cowboys fit the top 2. It's the third one that maybe Dallas and others could have potential issues with on that standpoint. But we know what's going to happen. This entire season, every time the Cowboys lose a game, fire Mike McCarthy, hire Sean Payton from loud members of the fan base, because those rumors, which have been around for decades now, maybe a decade, they're not going to get any quieter now that Payton is a free agent. The Saints have his contract rights. A trade would be required. Probably a bit more expensive than the Bruce Arians late-round pick swap from last time. But make your predictions for me. Will Sean Payton become the next Cowboys head coach? Y for yes or N for no? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So if the ad break comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. Type in Y for yes or N for no down at the pinned comment. The big question I have is, we know Jerry Jones loves Sean Payton. Those two go way back. They have a good relationship. What's the Stephen Jones-Sean Payton relationship? More and more, this is becoming the Stephen Jones show. And at minimum, by the way, I would like a real coaching search. For the first time since Wade Phillips, basically, you handed the job to Garrett for 10 years, and you interviewed 2 people when you hired Mike McCarthy. And resume-wise, McCarthy's not that much worse than Sean Payton. It's what's happened in recent years. It's a way, way better metric in favor of Sean Payton compared to Mike McCarthy. I think that Payton bonds and connects with his players better than McCarthy. Not that, McCarthy doesn't bond with his players, but I think Sean's just better at that. Regardless of this, whether it's Payton or Dan Quinn, the pressure is on Mike McCarthy to deliver this year. Every Cowboys player is going to be aware of hey, if we don't win, he's going to be gone. And the noise of the Sean Payton stuff is a distraction. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. It is. It's up to the head coach to make sure that does not become a major one for his team. By the way, when it comes to the potential head coaching search, do not rule out Dan Quinn. The Cowboys love him internally, understandably so. Had Quinn been available as a head coach when they hired McCarthy, I think he would have been a very serious contender for that job. So do not rule out the possibility of the Cowboys once again promoting their favorite coordinator to the head coaching position. Now, today's show is made possible by our friends over at Aura. It's Aura.com/chatsports. They offer financial fraud protection, identity theft protection, online and device security, and family plans for up to 5 members of your family. Aura.com/chatsports. The financial fraud protection is essential. How many of you, I know I have several times, have had their credit card or debit card compromised? Even if it's in your possession, somehow they get your information. I don't know how. Aura helps prevent that. Near real-time alerts on suspicious credit inquiries at Aura.com/chatsports. A free 14-day trial for you when you get started over at Aura.com/chatsports. That link is in the comments section and it's in the description of today's video. Let's go to Jalen Tolbert now, as maybe you follow some of the other major websites, PFF, fantasy guys, etc. Like, Jalen Tolbert's going to start. The Athletic said so. Duh. Where have we been? This has never not been the expectation. The second the Cowboys drafted Jalen Tolbert, it's like, yeah, he's probably going to start for you week 1 because you need the receiver help. CeeDee Lamb is going to be your receiver 1. Once he's healthy, Michael Gallup is going to be receiver 2. But he's not going to be healthy. So in the modern day NFL, when you use 3 receiver sets, it's Tolbert and probably James Washington. And given the level of investment in Tolbert compared to Washington, of course it's going to be Tolbert. Like, the fact I was very surprised, and I blame the fantasy people in the end, to have so many like, wow, Tolbert's the starter headlines. Duh. The article mentioned it in passing because we all know that's the case. The question I have for you is far more interesting, I think. Who ends up with more yards this year? Type in MG for Michael Gallup or type in JT for Jalen Tolbert. Make your predictions for me right now in the comment section. Tolbert, I thought, was an undervalued receiver in this year's draft. I actually had him rated higher than anybody of the Cowboys drafted this year, which is good for him, maybe not so good for others. The tricky part for Dallas is, when does Gallup get back? And Tolbert reminds me in many ways of Gallup in terms of, like, there's no glaring weaknesses to his game. He's a very quality football player, undervalued, smaller school guy. I like him. I also know that it does take time for rookies to adjust. In the modern day NFL, receivers, not nearly as long of the transition as they had in the past with the way college offenses are run. But I do think we have to keep that in mind. He's a 3rd-round pick. Don't expect instantaneous, peak Des Bryant all of a sudden out of Jalen Tolbert. Coming up next, we have the Cowboys workout details. They worked out 4 players on Friday, and they actually already signed one of them, by the way, in linebacker Malik Jefferson. We broke down that video earlier this morning. If you watched it, awesome. If not, you can check it out. It's on the channel. The thumbnail looks just like this right here for you guys. A potential linebacker depth edition, which you knew that happened. If you're subscribed, hit that big red button at youtube.com/CowboysTV. All right, the 4 workouts. Malik Jefferson, who, of course, they've now signed. TJ Brunson, most recently with the New York Football Giants, or at least was drafted by the Giants, I should say. Maurice Alexander and Kevontae Turpin, wide receiver and punt returners. There's 2 trends here, and really maybe 2.5. Linebacker depth and punt return options. The other half there is special teams. If you're getting signed in July and it's not a premier name, you have to contribute on special teams. We'll break down the other 3 guys more in depth here. But with the signing of Jefferson now official, announced by the team, by the way, do you want to sign any of those other three names, Brunson, Alexander, or Turpin? 1 for yes, you do. 0 for no, you do not. Sound off right now for me in the comment section. Start with the least likely name here. That is TJ Brunson. 2020 draft pick, 7th round by the Giants, 3 career tackles. The Cowboys worked him and Jefferson out. By signing Jefferson, I think that means they're not going to sign Brunson at this point. And maybe if there's injuries, they could revisit that. They'll add him to their, list of players they could sign, but I don't know that at this point. Next up is Maurice Alexander, small school kid, was in the USFL this past year. 20 receptions, 234 yards. He was a better kick returner than he was a punt returner for the Philadelphia Stars, but he does have the experience doing both. And I do not believe it is an accident that the Cowboys brought in 2 of those guys. There is still uncertainty, even if Jalen Tolbert is the favorite to be the punt returner this year. Then there's Kevontae Turpin. Local Cowboys fans will know him. He played, of course, at TCU, was the USFL's leading receiver with 540 yards and 4 scores in their, abbreviated-ish season relative to NFL number of games. Very talented player. Here's the problem. It's never been about the talent for Kevontae Turpin. The reason why he didn't get a shot in the NFL when he was first eligible was because he got kicked out of TCU for domestic violence charges, one of which he pled guilty to. One in New Mexico was later dropped. So he's Josh Ball, basically, is what I'm saying. And very talented player. If I draw the line at not wanting abusers on my team, I don't think that's an unfair line to draw. So he could help you as a punt returner. No doubt about it. I think I can find a punt returner who doesn't beat up women. Just my thoughts.